Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah. I am a registered dietitian and today we are going to be talking all about intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is an anti-diet approach to eating that was developed by two registered dietitians, and it is pretty popular right now, which I think is amazing. But in today's video I want to go over the 10 principles of intuitive eating and how you can start to incorporate it into your life. So let's get into it. So there are 10 principles of intuitive eating created with a goal of helping you improve your relationship with food. So principle number 1 is to reject the diet mentality. So this principle is all about rejecting the idea of losing weight quickly, easily, permanently. Our bodies are meant to change, and weight loss is not the focus of intuitive eating. It is not a weight loss diet, that's for sure. This principle involves you getting angry at diet culture, like you getting actually mad that there are diets out there trying to manipulate you into losing weight, knowing full well that you're going to gain that weight right back. And when you start to accept intuitive eating and you still partially believe there may be some diet around the corner waiting for you that's actually going to be the one that works, that's going to make it very hard for you to fully adopt the idea of intuitive eating. So you need to completely reject the idea of diets and the diet mentality in order to move on as an intuitive eater. Principle number 2 is to honor your hunger. Simply put, you need to eat enough. I say this all the time, but eating as little as possible is not the solution. That is like one of the biggest things that I teach in my program, the Nutrition Reboot. It is just not going to work if you eat as little as possible because it's always going to come back with a vengeance. You need to eat enough calories, you need to eat enough carbs, enough protein, enough fat, enough vitamins and minerals. You just need to be eating enough. Don't let yourself get excessively hungry, because when this happens, all rationale goes out the window. When we get to that like 1 or 2 on the hunger scale, we are not able to mindfully eat anymore, and we will likely overeat and then feel like crap, and so then we'll restrict again, get overly hungry, and you can see how that cycle would continue. When you start to listen to when your body is telling you it's hungry and responding by feeding it, that is going to be a very important step in helping you rebuild trust with your body. Your body tells you what it needs, and if you don't respond appropriately, it can be hard to build trust. And if you've been dieting for years and years and years, it may take a little bit of time to regain that trust and really tune into those hunger and satisfaction cues. Principle number 3 is to make peace with food. Give yourself unconditional, keyword there, unconditional permission to eat all foods. That includes carbs, that includes all of those foods that you deem as bad, whatever they may be. And you have to truly give yourself permission to eat those foods. If you tell yourself that you can't have those forbidden foods, that only makes you want them more, and that leads to you overeating them when you finally get the chance to have them because you cave in. And like I said, eating as little as possible or avoiding your favorite foods is always going to come back with a vengeance. When you do finally allow yourself to give in to these forbidden foods when you're accepting intuitive eating, it might be kind of hard to stop eating them at first. That's normal. We call this Last Supper eating, and it won't last forever. Pretty soon, all foods are going to be neutral in your mind once you truly allow them all in moderation, and you won't feel the need to overeat cookies and cupcakes when you know you can have them whenever you truly want them. Principle number 4 is to challenge the food police. You need to say no to those voices in your head telling you that you can't eat something, or to those around you telling you you can't eat something or judging you for eating something. If that voice in your head tells you that you're being bad for eating a cookie and good for eating some broccoli, you need to challenge that and think, wait a minute, that's not true. There are no good foods, there are no bad foods. Food has no moral value. I can absolutely enjoy both a cookie and broccoli, all in moderation. If friends, families, or coworkers are acting as the food police, it likely is a reflection of their own relationship with food. Don't let anyone make you feel bad about your food choices. It really is going to be so good for you to challenge these thoughts, not only in your own head, but also coming from others. Principle number 5 is to discover the satisfaction factor. Food is so much more than just fuel. We need to eat both for physical satisfaction and for emotional satisfaction, and food can give us both of those feelings. Enjoying delicious food is part of the human experience. We weren't meant to eat foods that only nourish our bodies. We also need to eat foods that nourish our souls. And food is like culturally meant to bring us together. I mean, imagine going out with friends and trying to bond over a gross, boring salad that has no dressing on it. Now, if you like boring salad, that's fine, but I personally would not enjoy that, and so I'm going to be enjoying my time with friends and family over food that I truly do enjoy. People always feel fearful that when they are allowed to have these fun foods or forbidden foods, that they are going to have a hard time controlling themselves around them. And again, that might be the case at first, but the more you're exposed to all foods, the less that you are going to want to overeat them. All right, number 6 is to feel your fullness. We want to eat to the point of feeling satisfied, not stuffed. And this becomes rather difficult when we aren't sure when we're going to get that food again, or when we wait too long to eat and we are just ravenous. So we always want to work on eating to that point where, we feel comfortable. We could eat a little bit more, but we know if we did, we might feel a little bit uncomfortable. That is that feeling of satisfaction. We always want to shoot for that. Now, there are times that you will go over, and that's normal, and you should never restrict or feel guilty about that. But I'd say 80% of the time, do try to shoot for that feeling of satisfaction. Try not to go too much into fullness. And on the other side, with our hunger, we don't want to get too hungry because, again, that makes us likely to overeat. And it also makes it hard for our body to trust us when it always feels hungry and we're not feeding it. Allow yourself to only get to a point where you feel slightly hungry, it's time to eat, and then eat something to that point of satisfaction. And this takes time to learn to, stay within those tight ranges there of not going over too full or under and being too hungry. But this is really something to work towards. It will only help in the long run. Eat nice and slow, avoid distractions, don't be scrolling on your phone while you're eating. That can make it really hard to tune in to when you're truly satisfied. Put your fork down in the middle of the meal and assess how you're feeling. If you're feeling satisfied, stop eating. The clean plate club is no longer a thing. You don't have to finish all your food if you're not hungry. But if you put that fork down and you feel like, yeah, I'm still hungry, I'm gonna eat some more. Cool, you can do that too. You can even get seconds if you want to. Principle 7 is to cope with your emotions with kindness. We need to find other ways than food to cope with our emotions like anger, sadness, boredom, whatever it may be. It is normal to cope with food on occasion, and you don't need to restrict or feel guilty if you do that once in a while. But food is not going to solve the problem, and you truly need to deal with whatever is causing those emotions for you. Principle 8 is to respect your body. This is a big one. Every single body looks different, and I always say this too. If you and I were to eat the exact same foods and exercise the exact same way, we would still look completely different. We all have very different genetic blueprints. Get clothes you feel comfortable in. Don't try to squeeze into a small just because you feel like that's the right size for you. If you wear a size 9 shoe, would you make your feet squeeze into a size 6? Probably not. So same idea with your shirts and your pants. You're allowed to want to change your body. You're allowed to want to lose weight. That is allowed. But you need to respect your body at all shapes and sizes that it goes through. All bodies deserve dignity. I have a hard time with BMI, ideal body weight, all of that. They are simply a diagnostic tool. They are not meant to tell you what your body weight should be. And there really is no way to predict what your ideal body weight is or what your weight should be. But when you are eating properly, moving in ways that feel good, really fueling yourself, you will settle at the weight that you're meant to be at. And it may or may not be within the BMI range that's healthy for you. Principle 9 is movement, feel the difference. So this just means you need to exercise in ways that feel good. Don't just exercise to punish yourself for eating or any other reason. Shift your focus from exercising to lose weight and burn calories to exercising to feel good. If you focus on how you actually feel during a workout rather than what you're getting from it, it is going to feel less like a chore and more like something you actually want to do. And it's also very important to find movement you actually enjoy. If you don't like running, don't run. Find a different mode of exercise that you actually want to do. And our last principle, principle 10, is to honor your health with gentle nutrition. Intuitive eating does not mean you're going to just eat cookies and donuts and ice cream all day long, because that wouldn't feel very good. We don't just neglect our health when we adopt intuitive eating. We still are going to eat foods that nourish our bodies and are physically good for us, but we also are allowed to have cookies and cakes and donuts and pizza and foods that maybe aren't the best for us nutritionally, but they are going to be so good for us emotionally. And when we allow all of those foods in moderation, we don't find ourselves binging on those forbidden foods that we had in the past. With intuitive eating, we are not striving for perfection. There is no such thing as being a perfect eater, having a perfect diet. We are just working on progress. If we do overeat, take a mental note of what went wrong. Did we allow ourselves to stay too hungry for too long? Is that why we overate? Maybe we were on our phone while we were eating, and so we weren't able to tune into our satisfaction cues. It is looking at everything that we do wrong as a learning opportunity instead of punishing ourselves for doing whatever we did. Remember, you don't have to eat perfectly to be healthy. You are not going to get a nutrient deficiency or become unhealthy from one snack, one meal, one day of eating. It is all about the big picture and what you're doing most of the time. Okay guys, I only scratched the surface on intuitive eating here, and I am not a certified intuitive eating specialist. I will link below some of my favorite intuitive eating dietitians if you do want to give them a follow or take a part in their services. I simply practice intuitive eating myself, and I do follow these basic principles and try to instruct my clients on how to do them. But if you really feel like you are stuck in the diet culture and you don't know how to get out, working with an intuitive eating dietitian may be a really good fit for you. I'll also link below the book by the dietitians that created intuitive eating. It is a really good resource to get started if you are wanting to learn more about this anti-diet approach to your health. And lastly, my co-host and friend Emily and I also have a whole podcast where we talked about intuitive eating. I will link that below if you also want to hear from Emily and hear her perspective on the principles of intuitive eating as well. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!